Hello, fellow wanderers. I'm Endri. Thank you for joining me as we wander through some more Sunless Sea. I dropped off a few Blummigans around. It didn't do a whole heck of a lot. Khan's Shadow, Visage, the Khan's Heart, the trading port. You have to pass a Veils challenge. Even if you fail, you still plant it, but you get some more suspicion. We're in Nuncio. We're going to get a port report here. Explore along the beach. Why not? And we can seed Blummigans among the rocks. Seed propagates alarmingly fast here. Within a few minutes, they are Blummigans scrambling in between bits of shale and over the faces of scattered correspondents on the shore. They digest stamps, addresses, sealing wax. Where their tentacles pass over an envelope, they leave behind new replacement directions, deliverable directions, but who knows whether these new addresses are better than the old ones. So we got deliverable post. Cool. I'm not collecting that. Take soundings. Perhaps there's some evidence of the great hollowness beneath these shores. Striking the ground causes the stones to shift and rattle. It's hard at first to hear anything other than that. But if you try long enough, your hand strikes enough, the whole beach shivers like the surface of a drum. The flotsam letters quiver and align themselves in concentric circles around the point of impact. The Blummigans, are they bowing? Their tentacles ripple all at once, at any rate. The next wave brings ashore 3 or 4 times the usual freight. Interesting. Let's do some shift work, shall we? This might be fun. Let's feed our deliverable mail into the sorting machine. Badly. The letters go into the hopper, but then there's a horrible churning, a loud thunk, and the whole thing comes to a halt. A single letter, mangled out of recognition, protrudes itself from the output slot. Postal rat is tearing at his fur. Wax braid, clay skull, what have you done? There's a great deal more commentary about your wits and parentage during the long hours of repair. The letters themselves are so damaged that they can't be read anymore. Dead again, in short. So let's go ahead and put that there. And let's lay claim to a parcel that clinks. We lose 5 terror, gain an outliner's artifact. And we can converse with the postal rat, which will get us our points back. Nothing special there. Alright, we've propagated a lot of Blummigans. How are we doing for that, by the way? 6 of the 7 that I need. We are going to head straight towards Mount Palmerston, and I've still got 3 of these annoying little buggers. So we're probably going to drop one off at Godfall because it's on the way, and Polythreme because it's on the way. And since we're heading towards Palmerston, I'm not going to buy fuel here. We should have more than enough to make it northward to there. I do eventually want to find the Isle of Hands. I guess I should sail a little east just to see what's east of us here. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we won't. The east coast is randomized somewhat. The top and bottom are always the same. Irem is always in the northeast, and the King Eater's castle is always in the southeast, and Irem's okay. It's not a bad little place. The King Eater's Keep, you can do some very bad things. Oh. Oh, I know where we are. Can we get there? Is it north or south of us? Haven't found it yet by Zbat. Well, given the bright glow to our southeast. This is east of all. We're going to want to turn that off real quick, because sun dreadnoughts tend to appear here. Oh, it's so bright! Investigate the ruins. There's some sort of installation here, and what looks like a handsome country house. Who's here? What happened to them? A garden overgrown with berry bushes, a wooden trestle table set for a meal, chairs strewn with bones, a half-dozen skeletons. A red-breasted bird perches on a grinning cranium. It cocks an eye at you and bursts into song, a liquid, thrilling sound. It seems unperturbed as you approach to poke through the bones. No signs of violence, no fire, no bullets, no bites. These people died peacefully, sitting down to breakfast as the surface sunlight spilled over them. Sunlight could kill at any time. The longer you remain here, the more danger you're in. So why did they stay? Perhaps they stayed because Aestival is as beautiful as anywhere in the Neath and 10 times as generous. It's a fine place for a colony. You could found your own pocket kingdom. If you could do something about the sun. But what? What has power over sunlight? What makes the impossible possible? We could gather supplies. We could go beachcombing. We could fill a mirror catch box, which would increase our wounds. I'm going to do that. Oh no, we have a... Oh, we didn't get wounds. This, by the way, takes a lot more light to do. I do not recommend it. Your eyes water, the pages blur. The report is one of joy-filled complaint. Aestival has beauty too bright to be appreciated, but perhaps somebody in the Admiralty can find a use. And we'll put a Blummigan ashore. About to swiftly cross the sun-hat land using a minimum of tendrils on the scorching beach. Somewhat shriveled, it snuggles in the shade of a fruit-rich tree. It seems unwilling to go further. How many more of these things do we have? I want to make sure I have at least one. Okay. Let's go north and see what we find. I suppose at the very least we can discover Irem. Though Irem without coffee is not particularly useful. Though now that we've unlocked the Nephrite quarter, we can get coffee fairly close to Irem, so it's not that big of an inconvenience. I mean, I say fairly close, but it's going from there to there, so it's, okay, not that close. Khan's heart spawned a little bit south of where I'm used to it. That thing over there, not so good. We'll be avoiding it. I don't actually think it's that difficult, but I have no reason to fight it, so we're not going to. So possibly northward we could find the Isle of Hands. Or we could find the Shelonate. We found the Empire of Hands. Fair enough. I don't mind that we found the Empire of Hands. This is not the way we want to go. This is... Alright, so we're going to have some reading to do. We have a lot of things to do. We're going to turn off our light for one, because that is a Savage Lornfluke. 750 health. That thing will wreck us. It also increases terror when it hits you, so by a lot. So, nah, I'm good. I'm good. The name, a still reminder for the Admiralty. In the name and by the power of her enduring majesty, a trade embargo and quarantine in absolute in perpetuity has hereby been declared on the Empire of Hands. No ship of London is permit to aboard a Pentecost ape without the express and prior permission of the Admiralty. Any and all acts of spirit phage are prohibited. They know what they did. Beware of stowaways. Keep a tight grip on your soul. With the regulations in mind, surprised to be greeted by a mere itchy monkey in tattered yellow robe, barely walking with the help of a ceremonial staff. "Hello," cries the mayor, in the broken voice of one not yet used to human speech. "Come, make selves at home. All souls welcome in bountiful Empire of Hands." The crew shifts uncomfortably. They know the stories. It will take more than the natural beauty of this place to make more of them risk shore leave here. Let's go ahead and visit the port. We could do shore leave. I would rather not, because we'll lose our soul. Oh, rusty locket. Ooh, let's do this one. It's a place of death where the bones still rotting carcasses of men and ape alike are left to the thirst of the sea. The charnel history of the Empire of Hands stretches out amongst the flies and the maggots of the apes who would be men in their stolen civilization. Something glints around the neck of a skeleton, a locket. You pocket it, though it does not look like it's worth much. The Z infamously takes much. Sometimes, though, it gives back. Perhaps this will prove to be such a time. I'm not putting a Blummigan. I am going to gather information. The Admiral commissioned you to gather information here at Empire's Edge. It's difficult, but you could pick up a few scraps. To give you an intriguing snippet, if you could penetrate the court better on Sovereign Islands, you may be able to do better. We gave Z story to Tricky Snippet, which were both very nice. The barely sold monkeys of Port Stanton mutter together in a dozen bastardized dialects, invented stories, gossip 20 years old, intimate revelations from the scraps of a subconscious knowledge that adhered to souls. The effect is a sampling a rich, fascinating stew that might possibly contain rat droppings. The Admiral will regard this wish as a failure, but others might be interested. Pity. We're not putting the Lonigan ashore, so we're done for now. Now we get to Zale, the Empire of Hands. Scouting trip, Sovereign Islands. A wooden palace stretches across the whole island, passage to it lit by a field of tiny glim buoys. Many boats circle the island, all keeping their distance. The one that gets closest is an extended rowboat, painted in yellows, whites, and reds. 4 servant monkeys strain on the oars, while its true passenger sits in comfort behind a gauze curtain. Just for a moment, an eye catches yours, but only for a moment. Would not do for a high-souled ape to see something so beneath its notice. And that's all we can do here for now. The Ash Ismith. Neither man nor ape claims this volcanic remnant between islands. Haunted, they say. Ridiculous. The trip offers a little time to think about on the Penties. Technically, they are monkeys rather than apes, but it is not tactful to remind them of this. To their high-souled faces, the accepted name is Pentecost apes. In private, though, the bloody monkeys is about as common. It is, one might say, an ad hominem insult. Ba-dum-bum. Parasitic vegetation thrives in the Empire of Hands, fertile soil and cool humidity. Wide natural paths run between clumps of trees, softly lit by dim green glow and occasional glimmer of false stars through the canopy. Only the cracking of leaves and the soothing sounds of water break the serenity of the volcano-forged island. Steam and a hint of sulfur gently rise from a secluded natural pool flanked by trees and mushrooms. We've lost 5 terror. You slip out of your itchy clothes under the welcoming caress of hot, deep water. The salts and sweats of Zalian life melt away as you simply float there, bare and free. Above, false stars glimmer bright enough to be worth wishing on. All around, the glow of trees casts ambient calm on the silent peace. How long has it been since you had a moment like this? Since London? Longer. Let's give a thought for our lover. Oh, those nights in Wolfstack docks. The noise, the passion, the delightful filth. The hot water hugs you tight as you remember her touch, your last words before departing, that half smile, almost but not quite blossoming into completeness. How long will it be before you feel the touch of skin on skin once more, or wake to see her sleeping brow, always so furrowed, as soft and calm as the sea itself? Wait, what was that? It sounded like giggling. A tiny blonde girl perches on a rock, her innocent grin is spiced with mischievous glee. She moves like a monkey, but giggles like an imp. At the look on your face at being caught bathing in her hot spring, the one that floods onto it as she scoops up your clothes. Demand that she put those down at once. At once, you shout, or there will be trouble. The monkey finally sticks out her tongue, grins and scampers off for the forest on all fours, your stolen possessions in a leather bag slung over her back. Her giggling echoes from the deep of the forest as you splash after her in your goosebumps. Chase the monkey foundling. Damn it, you cannot return to the crew like this. The branches scrape against your skin, the damp switches between your toes. There is no sign of the monkey foundling, but her tracks are easily followed. Shipwrecked baby and raised by the Emperor of Hands, she now plays between the words of apes and men. Footprints lead here. She's not attempting to hide them. Is this she wants you to follow? Your hand slaps to your stinging buttocks. A little stone lands in the dirt. A familiar giggle comes from above. You look to see the monkey foundling dangling upside down from a branch by her legs. A blowpipe in her hand is a bag just out of your reach, tantalizingly so. Taking a deep breath, you very politely request that you return your damned clothes now. The monkey finally listens and gives some thought, tapping your blowpipe against her lips. She decides. Say please, she grins. Please. There. It is said. Finally thinks for a moment. Pretty please? With imaginary cherry on type, imaginary cherry top. She likes. Pretty please, she adds, stifling a giggle. Damn it, it's freezing. How much longer? Pretty please. Pretty please. Your anguishy cries echo through the trees. Pretty pleased her, and she decides that you as a reward, she fishes her bag and generously throws you a sock. A single solitary sock. She learns a few new swear words and races off across the branches, nearly doubled up in laughter. A 45% chance to succeed, moves effortlessly through branches above. A trap! Uh-oh. It's fine. Your feet step with a coiled rope just as the monkey foundling cuts loose the counterweight, and you feel yourself flying upside down in the trees. Of course she has traps. The wider empire has no shortage of would-be invaders, man and monkey alike. She sits back and enjoys the show as you flail around trying to get free before apparently taking pity on you. Pity, however, turns out to be casually and without warning cutting through the rope, dangling you in the air, sending you falling back with a surprise thump to the muddy forest floor. Knocks the air out of your lungs, but you were otherwise unharmed. She pauses for a moment to make sure before her grin spreads back again as she races off to continue the game. The monkey finally slides down a vine in front of you. She sticks at her tongue and scampers through the break in the trees. A marsh of terrible stench. It's a place that skunks would think twice of entering if the Empire of Hands had such creatures. The monkey finally, of course, is unconcerned. As much home as here, the high branches are running the forest paths. She almost dances effortlessly across a thin fallen tree that crosses the mire, surrounded by the foulest bubbling mud that's ever been invaded your nostrils. He bows in the middle, daring you to try and follow. Another very chancy challenge. She wants to play? Fine, you'll play. I figure with our veils, we'd have a better chance at this. Slow going, your muddy feet slide against the thin trunk as it buckles the strain under your weight. Inch by inch and step by step, you slowly make your way across. Until bored, the monkey finally suddenly jumps up and down hard, the tree rolls under your feet, your balance fails. You slip and tumble, embraced by marsh whose smell never leaves you. You fight to the surface, a streaming brown and dripping green, violently coughing up, gagging throat full of foul slime. Just cross-legged to the safety of the trees, holding your nose as she points and laughs. She pirouettes on a tree stump, saluting you as you approach. A screeching Pentecost ape drops from the branches. The shock on the monkey foundling's face makes it clear this is not part of her little game. Its rage is focused entirely on her, the ghost of the ash isthmus, and its bright soul with which it could uplift itself to glory. It limps for some trap earlier, its fur blood-soaked and glistening. It lunges at the monkey foundling, who half rolls, half falls to the stump, and yelps as it catches her by the leg. She rolls, shrieks back her howl, she lashes back with a kick, shatters fang and splits lip. This only further enrages the frothy ape. It strikes. We're gonna help. She meant you no harm, she was only playing. You reach for a stone and bring it crashing down on the distracted ape's head. Its skull cracks, dampness spreading, collapses to the ground hard. It's not a child's face that looks up at you. Still, you reach a hand down. The monkey foundling just stares at it for a moment, something human returning as the adrenaline fades. For a moment, it almost looks as though she will take it. But no, she leaps upon her own, bending away towards the dark safety of her jungle, and then stops, hesitates. She looks back and tilts her head, beckoning you to follow. It is not a look that suggests the game is over, but perhaps not yet quite finished. This is where the monkey foundling lives? Why would she lead you here, of all places? The monkey foundling herself is nowhere to be seen, but she has left you something. It sits outside the hut, carefully placed in a large, happy face drawn in the black sand. Little prize for being such a good sport. Your clothes, however, nowhere to be seen, of course. As the monkey part of her, that would no doubt demand, where would the fun be in that? Well, there's no avoiding this any longer. The crew reacts with the expected amount of sympathy for your naked return, which is to say exactly none. By the time you board the ship, every last crew member is on hand to see and cheer, with more than a couple letting off flares as an impromptu fireworks. It is many, many days before the needling ceases and you are able to give an order without first scouring it for innuendo. On the plus side, it does boost the rest of the ship's mood. While it lasts, you have a new treasure for your collection. You've had worse days. Fountainhead Island. Empire of Hands is hardly as old as they pretend, but mimicry and theft infuses their whole culture. The Penties have come to think that the rulers should be buried in ancient temples, then it is ancient temples they will build. It would hardly be the first time their attempts to mirror humanity have entirely missed the point. A temple in the forest. It stretches out through the forest for a number of styles, each designed by the whims of the latest Pentecost apes who felt it needed to be made grander. It would take a dedicated team to break it and uncover its secrets. Perhaps you'll bring one here later. And finally, we'll scout the Hearthsake Island. The Emeraldi has never stated precisely why it seeks to keep the Empire confined, though most opposition to it fades once the set oppressors actually encounter a Pentecost ape. They have been easy to corral, however, but they do not lack wit, and there is not an inventive bone in their hairy bodies, and no amount of stolen humanity has taught them the art of creating engines. North for each city that the bats have brought down. Let's brow. Have you seen the big X on the ground by any chance? I got these 4 map pieces that got me this far. Said X would mark the spot, but I can't find the X anywhere. Looks at the map sadly. It should be here, it says. Now where am I supposed to dig? Too easy to talk right now, but adds he will be in the village later if you want to try trade adventuring supplies. Don't try the meatball, he warns, getting back to his search. You just don't want to do that. Sorry about that. Greasy smoke and guiltily tempting aromas arise from a collection of huts around the long beach pirate ship and a field of pointedly impaled monkeys. Sorry about that, Boost. Booms the boisterous pirate, lowering a smoking blunderbuss as bits of shattered tree rain down. New arrival, are we? Well, if you haven't got a tail, you're all right by me. You don't have a tail, do you? Wouldn't put it past the thieving little buggers to go shaving one of their own. Wouldn't know fair play if it kicked them up the right up the arse. It was a bit louder than blunderbuss. Congealed meat juices, thick beard are best to be considered. Seem a friendly sort, but are shocked at the idea that would ever be such poor hosts as to eat a guest, but then they have no shortage of supplies. And the sea is quiet, the journey is pleasantly uneventful. You have not been eaten by cannibal pirates, all things a successful trip. Prepare a comprehensive port report. All of them would warrant further attention. For now, though, you have to see if your initial discoveries can whet the interest of anyone back home. And that is the Empire of Hands. Not a bad place to go. We will be back there eventually. There are two ways we can get a particular item I want. One of them is through the Empire of Hands, and one of them is through the Khanate. I would like to get it through the Khanate, if at all possible. But we'll see. It is a random chance. I mean, I could stack the deck. I could just sit there and wait until I get the event to fire that I want. Khan's Shadow is close enough. I can probably get there with low terror and just wait it out. Not Khan's Shadow, Khan's Heart. But we'll have to see. Anyway, for now, our trip takes us to Mount Palmerston, where we need to get rid of this soul. And this box of souls. And hi, Irem. Well, I guess we'll stop by Irem, because it's right here. I don't have coffee, so we're not going to do a whole lot. But fuel is close, and there's no reason not to say hello. And we've got another secret. I am surprised how my veils is failing me. Some checks are very difficult. Irem, the pillared city. She will rise from the sea ice like dawn. She will be garlanded with red and decked with gold. The seventh serpent will watch you lovingly from its high pedestal. You will always arrive as a stranger, but when you leave, some part of you will always remain. Cure an obsession not yet acquired. The cowardly heir will notice a riddle fisher in danger of developing an unhealthy obsession. Do it! The heir will cut away something that is not yet there. She will come away with a sample jar of pickling brine. Specimen will grow there later. Slowly, layers of tissue gradually forming a missing kidney. The riddle fisher curl, cured in advance, will suffer no ill effects except occasional lassitude and lack of purpose. We will compile a report. When you sit down to write the report, you will recall that it was written already. Who wrote it? The report records that it was already written when it was found. Who found it? The report describes another report, which will indicate the name of the finder. Where is the other report? There is a footnote which describes when you will record its location. When will that be? When all is well, and all manner of things as well. I love Irem. Time doesn't work right in Irem. Let's do this. Two real officials will stare aghast as it whirls into the shadows, raising a cloud of rose petals as it goes. The year of the Blemigan, the younger will say. I was afraid this might happen. He takes the older's arm, and they hurry off to confer with their fellows. The Withern will laugh themselves sick, the older groans. There are shops here. You can buy and sell things with secrets. Threshold here has a more standard. You can buy strange catches here, which is nice. Supplies and fuel. And of course we can trade. We could get 10 Tales of Terror for... I have 10 Tales of Terror. We could buy a Tale of Terror for 2 Memories of a Distant Shore. We could buy Memories of a Distant Shore for Vision of the Surface. For Z Stories, we can buy Vision of the Surface. And for Terror, we can buy Z Stories. And of course, we can sell a Syrian Enigma for 3 Extraordinary Implications. But we can also just buy those for 333 or a full secret. There you go. That's Irem. It's a very useful place. We will be visiting there another time. Or perhaps we already have visited there. I'll stop that now. Anyway, yes, Irem is a city where time makes no sense. And it's one of the more fantastic looking cities, I think, aesthetically in the game. Excuse me. I had to take a drink. So we now head further in. So our goal now is to get to Mount Palmerston. After that, I want to stop by Pigmoat. And then I think the Shepherd Isles, Hunter's Keep, and then home again. So we'll probably stop by Avid Horizon and Chapel of Lights for their port reports at the very least. I don't have enough supplies to really want to do... I could do the next part of the Chapel of Lights, I suppose. Wouldn't be the worst idea. We could just buy a few extra supplies here to hold us over. We are not hurting for money, as it were. Let's go up to the crater. Look down and see Port Palmerston like a toy in the ruins of gravel. Yeah. The road to the crater. Da, 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 da. Do you happen to have a case of souls for me? No, I'm not going to eat them. We don't eat souls, usually. Not clear how that story got around. I told you that I miss London. I miss hell. I'd like a keepsake. And all souls are ours, you know, by right. The devil lifts the lid of the crate. The light from the souls from within illuminates her face. She stares at them for a long moment, and then tears begin to roll silently down her face. Thank you, she says. I've missed them so. One of her tears lands on the wood of the crate, which begins to smoke. Let me tell you something very special, she whispers it in your ear, her breath like hot stone. But you should go now. Thank you. Come back soon. 1 crate of souls for 1 secret? I would say that's a very good trade. Let's chat to folks about the Brimstone Convention. And let's go to the shops. I want to buy a bunch of fuel. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. With 1 too many. I'll lose the 70. I don't want to carry it. Supplies. That should be more than enough supplies to get us home. And by home, I mean to the chapel to do an event and then get home. And we got our Zoop, which is nice. I almost forgot the Zoop. I almost forgot the reason we were stopping by here in the first place. Oopsie. No big deal, though. And our terror is 49. High enough. I'm actually not going to stop by Avid Horizon. It's too far out of the way. We will stop by the Chapel of Lights and show that event. I'm not clicking that button. It could stay there. I'm not clicking it. Not till I'm much closer to London. The Chapel of Lights will then swing southwest to Salt Lions. It's a free port report. Could also reduce terror a little bit. Depends on where we're at. If we're over 60, that will probably reduce terror there. Normally having 70 or 75 terror is enough to get you a nightmare. We've just gotten very lucky, or, given my goals, very unlucky. We need to be able to feed a nightmare into the well here at the Chapel of Lights, and we can't do that at the moment. For reasons. Gather intelligence. And attend to service, low risk, 83% chance. Does cost 5 supplies. Oh yes, the priest says, smiling. The drowned man hums tonight. His song like fish row clouds the water. He waits for the congregation's assent. We will feel him in the harps of us, and his tune is caught. We race to the sky where the bright birds pass. Hear the congregation cry out like birds, and cries rattle away the rafters. And the air hangs sultry, and the gods no longer frown. At the end of the service, you leave. Your lips still wet and your stomach filled with secrets. You could grow rich on this diet, if you live. So we gain a secret, we lose 5 supplies, we contain terror, we have a lesson, and we have unaccountably peckish, and we are going to eat of the chapel's bounty to reduce our hunger, which will let us use less supplies on the way home, which is fantastic. And I think I'm going to call it a part there, and I will meet you all either at Pigmoat Island or London or Hunter's Keep, depending on what happens. So until our paths cross again, have fun and stay safe, everyone.